to see if I can confirm it. I don't know. I don't know if this is working. This is my first YouTube live stream. So, hey, great. Perfect. Hey everyone. This is cool. You guys are already here. I didn't know what was going to happen. It must have sent some kind of notification out or something. So yeah, happy Friday night. Thanks for hanging out with me. Yes, sick. Okay, cool. This is working. One thing, I know there's like a black bar on the right, but I'm going to leave that there because that's how I can see the chat. I don't really know if there's like a clever way to, for that people make it so it's full screen and you can still see it, but I'm kind of new to like OBS and stuff, so just you know, it's not the end of the world. It's a black bar. It's fine. Cool. Okay, well, I'm just going to get right into it and kind of let people come and go as they please and do my thing. But yeah, so I want to basically kind of go over someone else's dream, which I dropped, I guess, last month now. And I kind of been wanting to do something like this for a while. Just kind of like, you know, cracking open a session and going over like what's in there. And more importantly, kind of why what's in there is in there. It's not gonna get super technical or anything, so hopefully it's something that everyone can kind of get something out of, either like appreciating what goes into it more, or like understanding more. Or like my dream would be that even maybe the concepts can apply more to you know, even if you make like other types of art, maybe there's something you can take from this. So that would be cool, I think. I'm just going to turn off my text messages on my computer really quick so that, not that you guys would see them, but just because they're distracting. Okay, cool. So yeah, really quick before going any farther, I'm going to play music for a second and just let me know in the chat if it's like crazy loud or quiet compared to my voice. I think I got it pretty good, but let's see. So here's just a little bit. I tried to get it so I could still talk over it, but it's kind of loud and clear, hopefully. So let me know. Yeah, how's that sound? Okay, somebody in the chat tell me if that sounded okay. It's good? Okay, great. Fantastic. So in case anyone hasn't heard this song, or if you haven't heard it in a second, I'm just going to play it so it's kind of fresh in everybody's minds, and then I kind of want to talk about it generally a little bit before kind of like going in, and we'll break it down. So, okay. So here it is for anyone that needs a refresher. Here's someone else's dream. Cool. So that's Someone Else's Dream. It kind of seemed like some people hadn't heard it before, so hope you liked it. And yeah, like just speaking generally about it, it was a song. I actually started this song after doing Dissolve originally. After I made that, this was initially started after that, and I wanted to find. I was kind of thinking about my life, and I kind of was looking around at it and just realizing that like a lot of things in my life felt like like I was surrounded by other people's decisions. I felt like, and kind of if you're kind of adaptable and easygoing, I think you can very easily find yourself in a situation where you've kind of made room for everyone else around you in a way that maybe you haven't kind of listened to what you want. Really easy to end up in that situation, I think. And so I kind of wanted to capture that feeling in a song and kind of share both kind of do it for myself, telling myself what I needed to hear, but also maybe like finding a way that other people who were in a similar situation could also get something out of it. So I came up with this idea of Someone Else's Dream from that, and it's a very like it's I'm not the first person to have thought of that. There's a lot of that in pop culture and things, but in a very very literal way, I wanted to just kind of express it like I really love kind of magical realism stuff and Haruki Murakami type stories, if you're familiar with that author, where you just treat the fantastical as real. And so I wanted to write a song from the perspective of literally every time some other person in the world, every time they fall asleep, your body disappears and you wake up in their dream and you're stuck there for God knows how long. And there's kind of a futility in that and a sadness in that, but then ultimately the song wanting to express the hope of escaping from that dream. So that's what I was trying to do with it. Then it's the massive challenge of actually making the thing, which we're going to go over here. But so the characteristics that I figured it might be nice for something like that is I want to draw people in kind of like into the story and have like kind of a warmth to it, but also play right with the line of where the dark side of this story is and the sad side and the happy, hopeful side. And so that being kind of like ultimately what I was going for, will I think kind of help inform as we like kind of go through the song and like look at what's actually happening in it. So let's just start at the beginning. And I'm just going to kind of flow with this and let you just see where my mind goes with it, because a lot of thought goes into my songs, and I think I've never really like shared that before, so I'm going to do that now. So song starts, you have nothing, there's no song, there's nothing anywhere, something has to happen. Let's just listen to this first section that I have labeled as intro. Okay, so the intro. Let's see like what's actually going on there. There's kind of, let's just look through the stems a little bit. So there's no bass, nothing in there. There's no drums, so they can just get out of the way. The main thing going on is this, which these are the mix stems. So in some cases, there's a few different sounds on one track, it was mixed by Spike Stent, who's kind of a legendary mixer. So let's just look at what's actually in the intro. So this is one track, made up of two things. So the characteristic of these is kind of based on these mellotron sounds, and what a mellotron is like, it's kind of basically this thing that was invented in the 60s where you'd make tape loops, one tape loop, 8 seconds long, of individual notes. So just do, and you'd record that to tape, And then basically they'd map them out across a keyboard, so when you pressed a key, it would actually play a physical tape. And this was essentially the first sampler. So these sounds are kind of based on that. And they give it instantly a nostalgic quality. It sounds, it's very vintage, it's very familiar. Most famously, like the Beatles were some of the first people to use it, and certainly was using like things like Pink Floyd and kind of those like that era of music. It was used a lot. So the second you hear that, you're kind of transported to another time, which I really like. And what's actually going on musically here, there's a little melody that's like da 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 da. There's that thing. And then underneath it, there's the chords. So right out of the gate, you're getting this melody and you're getting chord information. So you're grounded in the song. Your ear knows what key you're in. You've got a little hooky thing. And then what are these other tracks? What the hell are these other tracks? Okay, there's the vocal pad. So in the second half of the intro, those kind of swell in, and those are just a bunch of layers of me singing harmonies kind of built up. It's like with the same processing actually that I used in Dissolve, on the chorus of Dissolve. So it has that's another familiar thing if you're familiar with my music. And so what that tells you is it kind of like instantly paints like a little bit of the sonic picture of what you're going to hear over the rest of the song. You're hearing these mellotron sounds, you're hearing these oohs and ahs. And that's kind of it in the intro. The only other thing of note is this sound, which basically takes you into the verse. So I'd call that part of the transition, essentially. So kind of action-packed, like but in the first 10 seconds, you've gotten a lot of info. And the scene is sort of set. Hopefully you're drawn in. So then we get to the verse. So it kind of like actually starts. The scene's set. And the biggest thing right there, obviously the big things that come in there are the drums and the vocals. So let's look at the drums first really quick. I guess you get bass for the first time too. So here's just the drums. Yep. So, and what's going on there, it's basically, I would call it broadly, it's a breakbeat style of drum beat. It's kind of made up of layers. They aren't probably going to sound that cool by themselves. There's like this. They all kind of are weird by themselves. Just a clap, hi-hats, kick drum. Oh, there's like a hi-hat in the kick drum. Yeah, this is a very quirky production, so there's going to be a lot of weird things. And then just the solid snare drum. But together, they don't sound like crap. They sound good. They're still loose and wonky, but, this is a characterful song, and it's a characterful beat. So I'm going to let that roll for a sec, and let's add the bass in, which is kind of a quirky bass sound too. Everything in this song, I'm gonna try not to say quirky too many times because it's a very weird one. So let's look at the bass sound really quick. Kind of a Moog synth, and I even automated it so it kind of wiggles on the held notes so that they didn't feel too dead. I don't know if you can hear that. It's like whoa, 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 kind of a little shake to it. So with the drums, that's basically the basis of the beat. Now there's this track, which was one of the first things I added to the song actually, which, very weird one. So this track serves a really important function for my music specifically, which it's kind of like a chopped up sample vibe, and to me it instantly makes the song super specific. Like the second that this sample chop is in, which is kind of, it's got a melody to it, but it's very random, so it's not like catchy in its own right, but it instantly creates the feeling that like, oh, this is quirky and unique, and it's not like any other song. Like, I don't know, right now, I already don't think this sounds like any other song, and the music isn't even really in. So that, and that's so important to me, and like to the vibe of what this song is, that it was, you know, you would think I would have even written the song before I had that, but no, that was one of the first things. So then, the instruments, and there's probably, let's see what's going on here. There's probably some interesting stuff. Okay, so there's this guitar track. Let's see what that is. Real simple, but... Okay, yeah, so this track, I'm kind of going back in my mind to when I made it, and I know that there's sort of a functional quality with the single notes, but the moments like this, where it's really sort of moving really quickly, this was the result of me just letting the beat play for probably 10 minutes, and just recording everything I did, and then chopping out little weird moments that I liked, and basically, you know, cutting it into this loop. So that with the other things, you know, we got music going, and then this track I think is also interesting. So let me play this really quick. So I've got this labeled as Canvas for a very kind of specific reason. Okay. So that track, to me, it's kind of like something you could easily miss. Sorry, I'm hearing like a delay in my headphones, which is messing me up a little bit. Okay, so I'm just gonna roll through it. It'll be fine. Basically, that track is this. I think of it as like the canvas. So if you have just the drums themselves here, by themselves, you've got the drums, and if you mute the drums, it's nothing. It's just digital black. Absolute emptiness, absolute void of nothing. The idea of the canvas track to me, and this is not necessarily something the way that other people put it, but it's to fill that digital black, empty, vast nothingness with something that has character. And you can have it really low in the mix, but it kind of like creates this depth. And it's by it being too low for you to hear, it fills a little hole. So it feels just out of reach. So the drums with this, like, you don't notice that in the song, but you can especially notice it on these two bars right here. Like, if you just listen to the song and I told you about this, you would never know what I was talking about. But that's that sort of backdrop. If I take it away, I don't know. It's just more boring. It's more empty. But so it is like ambiance for the song, but it's also like musically related in its own way. So that's kind of the music. So let me put that all together. And instrumentally, you have this. Now let's look at the vocals. I'm just going to put them all in right now because there's not really anything too crazy going on. Every time your eyes close, I feel my body disappear. My fingers start fading, then I'm gone, gone, gone. I wake up in the deepest corner of your mind and wonder why I'm living in your world instead of mine. And I tried tons of different vocal melodies for the verse to find something I liked, and the reason that I hit on this one was for two reasons. One was because of this. Every time your eyes close, I feel my body disappear. It kind of puts you on the upbeat, and I wanted to, because it's a more down verse, I wanted to bounce. Your mind and wonder why. And it just kind of gives it this bounce. And the other reason was, I'll let it loop around one more time, because the beat goes boo, 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 ga, and right here, boom, boom, boom. The drums were doing that sort of thing where they hit just on the 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, chicka, boom, ah, doof. So every time it loops, it does that, and then and the vocal kind of mirrors that too. Gone, gone, gone. So that just felt like it went together and became something like they belong together, and that was kind of a goal. And I guess the only other thing I'll show here is I have this weird. I think this is, yeah. So you probably didn't notice this either, but there's just a weird pitched up version of the voice as well. I think that just kind of creates a little more alien, like weird quality to it. I miss it when it's gone. Okay, let's move on. So then there's this section. All right, so that's like, I'm considering at the pre-chorus. It sort of extends the verse. There's a big change into the chorus in this song, and so I think that it needed to set up for this first chorus. There's a big musical change, so I wanted to just ride it out a little bit longer and get the melodies headed up so that you kind of felt like something was coming, so it didn't feel like the chorus just all of a sudden was like smack you in the face. So pretty much, the drums and the bass, all that's the same. That's just rolling along. What is this track? This track's doing something. Just a little vocal effect build-up thing. The instruments are not doing anything too special. The canvas track looks like it's doing something. It's just thickening up and growing a little bit, very subtly. That's just a feeling thing. Yeah, and then really it's just the vocal melody is doing the work here. There's lots of layers. Add some falsettos on top. Builds, and like you hear how the melody kind of da 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 da. That's just as a note that if you hit that note, you're going somewhere. You're expecting something to happen. It's very tense, and so that with the build leads to this, which is the chorus, the first chorus. We've heard that a bunch, so I'm not going to play the whole thing. And there's a lot going on here. So this is like obviously the main thing in the song. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this. Let's just like look at what's going on with it. So first of all, the drums, again, there's nothing too crazy. It's pretty much the same. But there's just a few more, it looks like there's a few more like energy layers coming in. So, and this track, which I'm pointing at my screen, you cannot see me actually point, I'm realizing sets it up and pays it off, sort of. So, and that's just, a reverse crash and that hits an actual crash. Boof, yeah. And then this drum fill. And the drum fills in this song were, I had kind of like this old 60s Ludwig drum kit from the Beatles era that I just had it set up, and I only used it pretty much to record hi-hats and the drum fill. So that's just me on the drums, like doing fills only. So that kind of takes care of the drums. The bass is crazy on this song in the chorus. It's kind of like this melodic bass line that you'll hear here. It's even got it turns into a melody. It's like very strange. Same sound from the verse though, so it's very unified in its way. And with the drums, it's got a lot going on, but it still has that 1, 2, 3, 4 repeat at the end of every bar, so even rhythmically, it's kind of unified with the rest of the song. Yeah. And the instruments, what are they doing? Oh yeah, the instruments have some more weird stuff going on. So there's this piano, and I have this kind of concept in my mind of when I'm working on music that's like, some things make sense, and other things are approached purely intuitively of just, I want to hear that here, so I put it here. It's not like necessarily a part that makes sense, but it's just, when this moment hits, I need this note with this tone to hit in this way. And so sometimes I'll end up with these tracks that if you listen to them on their own, they sound kind of insane. Like this one probably sounds really weird by itself, I bet. Yeah, like that's all over the place. It's not like a part someone would like sit down and play ever in their lives. But when you put it with the drums and the bass, and especially with that weird bass line, it starts to like make sense a little bit, I think. It's like a conversation. And even like the conversation extends to the drum fill. Like you heard like everything cut out to make room for the drums at that moment. So everything's talking to everything else. And there's this track. What is this doing? Keys 4. This is like some random synths. Again, by itself, weird. Kind of relates to the string mellotron stuff. Oh yeah, there's some kind of like trance gate effects on there, and then there's this track, and we'll put these all in at the same time. See, like this is a good example of just like dropping a note in, because I was just like, this one note needs to come out more, so when the chorus hits, I don't know, it was just that one note. And then this. Same tone, similar spot, but a little more life to it. And then it'll transition out. So altogether, the instruments end up being this. Builds. Yeah, so almost no track on its own works. Like actually maybe none of the tracks other than the drums really like work on their own. But when you put it together, it's this weird hodgepodge thing that's just so specific. And it doesn't really sound like, I don't know, to me it doesn't really end up sounding like anything else if you approach it that way. Just additively kind of. And then the vocals here, pretty simple situation. Oh yeah, okay, so you got like the lead vocal, which I'm gonna play it with the doubles.
Don't know quite exactly where I want to be. I'm not gonna stay here stuck in some.
And that's kind of what you notice in the song, but then there's this harmony track, which I think is what like secretly makes it. So I'm just going to play all the vocals together, since you might not be able to hear this in the song as much. And so this is to me like the good stuff. I think like the lead vocal with the harmony is like makes the song.
Even if I don't know quite exactly where I want to be, I'm not going to stay here stuck in someone else's dream. Maybe I'll find mine's a nightmare, but I don't even care. I just want to live inside my own dream.
Yeah. So those things together are kind of like the heart of it, and you know, it's the payoff. It's sort of the payoff of the song is this kind of long wandering melody. And now that we're at the chorus, I kind of want to point out something that is going to kind of come up again and again in the song, which is that like the core key moment is this entire long phrase, and especially that first hook of like, even if I don't know, that thing, even if I don't know. And what I want to point out is that the very first melody that you hear in the song, that instrumental melody is actually those notes, but just fewer of them. So da 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 da. Even if I don't know. So even from the beginning of the song, it's pre-echoing the chorus melody, and it kind of reinforces it throughout the song in as many different little ways as it can without being the same. All right, so that's kind of the chorus, and then we come out of that. You know, it builds up at the end here. So we kind of get into this post. And that's where the harmonies are really like featured, which is, nope, those aren't the harmonies. Where are the harmonies? Oh yeah, that's right, they're for some reason in the instrument tracks. And they're kind of pumping with the rhythm. And that just gives you that, like, I don't know, there's something about like vocal harmonies like that that just hits for me. And there's this melody. So with that's again that's that mellotron melody that's reinforcing the beginning of the chorus. And the chop melody kind of comes back, so that's always embedded in there, this weird sample chop thing, just for the character of it. And this section, the post, is essentially musically what the intro section is, you know? So it's familiar, but it's bigger. Now that we've gone through that section, I want to point out one other thing too, which is that like the chord progression changes between the verse and the chorus, which is not uncommon, but specifically in this song, the cool thing that it does is that the verses are kind of like in minor. So it's sort of this darker feel. You know, it's based around, the chord progression starts on like the minor chord. So this is the darker side of the song. But when it builds into the chorus, it actually starts on the major, like on the 1 chord. So the second the chorus hits, the whole mood brightens up, and you kind of feel like you broke out of the darkness into the brighter side of it. Which really connects to the meaning of the song in a big way, because the point being like, oh, I'm stuck in this nightmare and I want to break out of it and kind of enter my own life, do my own thing. And so it sort of parallels, musically, hopefully it sort of parallels that feeling of being stuck in the darkness and trying, at least hoping to try to break out into the light. So we go from the post. Second verse, I would say like, this is sort of a, yeah, verse 2 is pretty much like same as verse 1. I'm doing such big shifts in the song between the verses and the choruses that, whereas normally if they were a little more similar, I might flip it in the second verse and try to make it crazier. But because we're doing such dramatic shifts, it's kind of nice to come home to that feeling from the first verse. It's kind of like, okay, yeah, settle back into something that's like familiar. But what I do this time is we lose the pre-chorus. So you'll see we jump right back into the chorus. So I didn't want to take the time to do this pre-chorus again. Let's just get right back to the good stuff and do the chorus. Which is totally fine. The only thing that it took was this track. I think it's this one. Let's see. No, not that track. Is it in the instrument tracks? No. Oh, yeah, for some reason it's in the sample chop track. So this is that transition, and it kind of just telegraphs that we're heading into the chorus early. So without that, it might feel abrupt. And you're into the chorus. So it just lets us cheat it. And the chorus is basically the same. Oh, actually, it's not the same because this track. The only thing that's different is this. Let's see. Yeah, so that same track, if you hear like the chorus, what it's different from the first chorus is that it has these weird kind of counter melodies. Yeah. So vocal melodies going on, and then these come. Just to give your ears something new to listen to, and then we build back up, and we do another post. Yeah. And it steals a little piece of the chorus melody to make a tag in there. so that we can make it twice as long. When we build, the whole track collapses. Okay, so let's listen to the bridge really quick. This is the big flip. You know, I think of like, this song is sort of bright and active and up, and I wanted to create like a little deeper feeling that it flips to. It's kind of like the world underneath the world of the song, I guess. And this section's, you know, it's basically all new instrumentation suddenly. So, you know, you've got the drums, they're nothing that crazy. Just sort of like some cool like throws and stuff on a clap. And you've got this 808. Boom, boom. Just meant to be like spacious and kind of like building feel. And the key thing here is that, you know, it's all based around this, which is this vocoder section.
Even if I don't know quite exactly where I want to be, I'm not gonna stay here stuck in someone else's dream.
So, new melody, new everything. You've never heard a vocoder in the song before, but it's the same lyric from the melody. And my vision for this section was kind of like, I want to treat that as a mantra. Kind of like you're walking out of the dream, you're trying to escape the dream, and you're just telling yourself over and over these lines. So that sort of builds up, and then I really just went free-flowing with the instruments from there, and there's only really two things that happen. So this guitar track comes in, which is just like a nylon string. Just intuitively played, like filling little gaps. So we're just building up. And then this keys track kind of rises up over the second half to like build tension. And these are like the Mellotron type sounds that we were talking about before, mixed with some synths. So between those, you end up with this section, you know. And low-key, it's my favorite section of the song, personally. Then we've got, and it sort of builds and breaks. And it's like the sun's coming back up and the drums are out. It's really just those strings continue and you've got a clap in the backbeat, and this is sort of the like, you know, this is sort of, it's the chorus again, but it's supposed to kind of telegraph, you know, it's going to come back in a bigger way. Just this spacious feeling, growing and building. Builds, peaks. Drum fills in there. And the last post, which is, so in this last section, you know, it's riding. It's like the biggest, most kind of flowing, like full section of the song. You know, whatever big finish. But the thing that I did was I grabbed the first part of the chorus line. I've never done this anywhere else in the song, and just repeat it rather than letting it finish with the dream. Like the second chorus, you know, ends with dream, dream. So you kind of expect that, but instead of getting that,
I just wanna live inside my own. Even if I don't know. Even if I don't know. Even if I don't know. Even if I don't know.
yeah. And so like I wanted to end the song like with, instead of giving you the thing that you've like heard, the dream thing, and that's what you sort of expect, it sort of like gets stuck on the first line of the chorus and becomes like its own little chant. And I think that sort of like the unresolvedness of that like hopefully kind of like makes you like want to hear it again. And yeah, and it really just at that point just sort of builds,
Even if I don't know.
winds down, and breaks. And that's kind of like the whole ride of it. But it's this weird, to me it's this weird like, you know, you're flipping back and forth between like brightness and darkness, and like it rising up and exploding and falling back down and getting dark again. And then for the bridge it goes into an even kind of more strange place and brings you back home. And yeah, that was sort of the intention with it, I guess, is just create like that ride. So yeah, I don't know. I see the chat. I see there's like a lot of stuff going on in the chat, but yeah, I really just kind of wanted to flow with it and like give you like a little insight into my thought process with this stuff. And this is like a particularly weird one for me because it's so many elements of it are so specific and they sound so different in isolation. But yeah, well, I'm gonna get going. But I thank you guys for tuning in. I just wanted to kind of do that breakdown, and I don't know. Let me know if you liked it. I like doing it. I can do more of other songs and stuff, but yeah, it's fun. I appreciate you guys hanging and kind of letting me flow with it and just sort of, you know, share the process. So, all right, love you guys. Thank you for supporting me and showing up and hanging. All right, bye.